We started this set with Harker Warwick, then we had the oppressive Oxforce Twisted Fate, then after we had the Shen Time Knife, then after we had the Harker Leblanc and Harker Gnar. Is this patch 13.8 finally the patch where Riot Games will manage to fix Teamfight Tactics set 8.5? I have no idea, but we will check these patch notes in order to see whether or not we have finally a balanced game where flexibility and creativity will reign over OTP and forcing combs. Alright, let's start with the traits large. And here I like to see two things, and honestly I'm so happy to see them. The first one is Harker. Huge nerf into Spell Vamp, and you know what? That's fine. But the biggest change to me is how the Harker is targeting units. Now, if we position a bait, that bait will have the role of a bait and will not run away from your carry and then having your carry being one shot. So this is extremely healthy. It helps people to be able to position correctly against Harker. I love it. And the other thing I really like to see is the Orc Force. It should remove a lot of frustration. 1-star Annie should not tank a full MF2 cast. This is to me very healthy. Another thing is, if you want to play Oxforce, when I see this, you want to play with First Aid Kit, Second Wind, and Warwick. This will be extremely powerful on Oxforce, and if you want to counter Oxforce, you should build an item that's called Guard Breaker, because since they have a lot of shield, your units will deal much more damage to them. So honestly, it's very healthy, as it has a clear strength and clear weakness, and you can abuse the weakness in order to overcome the Oxforce. And that was not the case before, and that's why everyone was so frustrated with it. Okay, let's talk about the units. Blitzcrank. Yes, I like to see that. Blitzcrank 3 was literally like a 5-cost 3-star unit. Unkillable, so this is healthy. Gangplank buff. Yes, he was useless. Lucian nerf. Yes, he was too strong. Lux buff. That's not the buff I want to have a Lux. I would prefer to have even more speed on the animation rather than damage, but I guess it's better than nothing. Nasus buff, yeah, because like in case you didn't know, Stack on Stack was the least powerful augment in Grandmaster Plus. It has the worst win rate, so definitely this is worth. 2 cost and 3 cost. Jinx buff, okay, why not? Anima Squad was struggling a lot last patch, so yes. Gnar nerf, deserved, even though the biggest problem of Gnar was not Gnar, but rather the Harker. So I'm scared that with the Harker nerf and the Gnar nerf, this could be a bit too much. We will see. Kaisa nerf, deserved. Ramus buff, yeah, I think it's deserved. Like, he lacked a bit of utility. I think that's nice. Shen nerf, yeah, honestly, Shen was dealing a huge work in all the arc comps, so yeah, definitely worth. But again, this will nerf Gnar, so we have to see if it's worth it. Velvet buff, yeah, she's not strong enough, so definitely she needed buff. I don't know why, but for some reason this set, Velvet, they decided to add much more mana in order to use her ability. So it's 10 more mana, but compared to her base mana, that's a lot of mana. And so that they needed to compensate. So if that's the way to compensate, I don't know, we will see. But I hope she will be more reliable, because the problem with Velvet is like, she's extremely strong stage 2, stage 3, and even stage 4. But after stage 4, she's completely useless. When there are too many units, she's useless. Hero augments, I think the biggest change, that's the healthiest thing they could have ever done, is the first line here. All hero augments now apply to strongest unit. I think they should have done that from the beginning of the set for every carry augment, because it's just so hard to balance the game correctly. Because for instance, if you have only one Poppy with the carry augment, she's kinda useless. But if you have 2 or 3 Poppy, you can literally one-shot the backline and abuse the augment. But that's not healthy, because it means that the dev team has to balance around people who play 1 Poppy and people who play 3 Poppies. And obviously you can't have the right number. But by putting this constraint, then now they can balance correctly the Poppy augment, and that's the same for every augment. So this is something like that's super healthy, and I hope that it will also help them balancing the augments much better than now. So speaking of that, we have Lucian support nerf, makes sense. Pantheon carry nerf, makes sense. Pantheon support nerf, makes sense. Renekton carry buff, makes sense, because now you can't have double Renekton, so only one Renekton will gain from that, so he needs to be strong. Same with Wukong. Ezreal carry, yeah, this bug was obviously something that needed to change. Lee Sin carry, now they can buff again the Lee Sin to almost to the level of Lee Sin at the beginning of the set. But now, since only one Lee Sin can have this buff, then of course it's much healthier. No one can abuse the double or even triple listing spray shot Vayne carry nerf. Apparently Vayne carry spray shot was still very strong, and honestly, yeah, it was very strong if you had a good setup. Vex carry buff makes sense. Vex was very struggling, and I'm still surprised that I didn't see that. In case you don't know, Vex 3 has less base damage than Leblanc 2, and I still can't believe that at this point we're still having this huge discrepancy between Vex and Leblanc. They are both 3 stars, they are both supposed to be carries. Leblanc has 3 synergies, 3 of them can make her stronger, while Vex has 2 synergies and none of them can increase her damage. And it is not okay for me to see that Vex 3 deals less damage than Leblanc 2. This is for me a big miss, and I want this to be fixed one day, because like this is just too big to be true. Like it's impossible to miss it so hard on this. Echo carry change to try to make it more useful. I don't know if it will change anything, honestly. Leona carry buff, yeah, makes sense. She's one of the worst augment right now. And Ugor support buff, yeah, no one likes to pick this support augment, so I think they can buff it as much as they want. As long as it's not too big, no one will pick it. Alright, small change, sped up Chaos cast animation. I honestly think this is a big buff, not a small buff. Kale carry with 3-star and the augment is very strong. So yeah, I think this will make it even stronger. There's one thing though I didn't mention about this carry augment, which is here, is that now if you play double trouble, this is a huge nerf to all double trouble reward comps that were relying on hero augments. So this is something we have to take into account. I had hopes that double trouble would get a slight buff, but I don't know. Can I try to forecast what will happen in the future? I'm not sure, but there's a chance that double trouble will not be a great augment in the next patch. So overall, this patch will have big wins. I think they are going to remove a lot of frustrations around Oxforce, around Hacker. They will still be playable, but now they have clear weakness that you can abuse in order to beat them. So like for instance with Hacker, you can now place baits that will actually work as baits, and they will help you survive against hackers. And then after for Oxforce, you can abuse against them by building guard breakers, and you can beat them that way. I think this is the kind of healthy changes that we need. Also for the augments, with a lot of hero augments, now we have hero augments that will only apply to the strongest unit when it's relevant, of course. And that's also a huge healthy improvement, because that way they can balance the things much properly, and we will stop seeing crazy things like triple chain or triple poppy, deleting your backlane and you can't do anything about it. So I think this is very great. I'm just a bit disappointed on some parts. I think like because of these changes, they needed to think ahead and think of how Double Trouble will suffer from that, and also thinking about maybe buffing Poppy's carry augment, because now we can't abuse with 3 Poppy, so only having 1 Poppy who can deal damage, a lot of damage with the spell, is probably going to be a bad augment to take for the next patch. So I had hopes they would kind of try to forecast these consequences and balance around it, but probably we'll have to wait another patch when they have the data that shows exactly what I'm saying. But anyway, it's already a big win patch. I'm not going to ask too much. I think the fact that we can counter Hacker and Oxforce properly will make the game in a much healthier state, and actually will unlock more creative and flexible comps. If you want to talk with me and discuss about your thoughts on this patch note, you can reach me on Tactor's Discord with a link on description. Tactor is the sponsor of my channel, and we are working together to provide you guides and also a growing community who enjoys TFT, League of Legends and other games. So join me there and let's discuss there. See you in the next video.